Welcome back everybody to the 12th episode of Better Than Wolves. In this episode we are finally going to enter the age of automation in full power, because I spent like 10 to 12 hours exploring the world just to gather some clay. As you can see, we've got more than 20 stacks now, that's quite an insane amount, as well as looking for villages. I'm now gonna roll in the background the clip of me exploring, because I had to condense like 2.5 hours of videos from like 10 to 12 hours of playing into a minute and a half to make it actually watchable and to make any sense to actually have it in the video. And the reason I did that is because we are going to need to trade a lot of different items with the villagers, and due to that I actually had to look for carrots and potatoes, which I now planted in our garden here. And other than that, I actually want to do something really big. We're going to establish a second base, basically. I want to build a railway that goes all the way back, if you remember, to where we came from, which should be down over there. And that's where the spawn chunks are, and that's where we created our world and where we spawned in the first episode. And the reason I want to do that is because the spawn chunks are actually fully loaded chunks that stay active constantly. Even if you are in a different dimension or so far away that they shouldn't load, they will load, and we'll be able to have our farms running all the time. And to prepare for that, I want to first prepare all the planters that we're gonna bring there, and then we're also gonna move there the mob farm we have here, and we're also gonna build a squid farm. Ideally, I'd like to build those three things and also a mushroom farm. But before all of that, we have a new building to add to our collection here at the current base, and that's gonna be the pottery maker. The reason I want a proper building for this is because I was kind of underestimating how much clay we were gonna have to work, but we're about to prepare and cook like 4 to 5 stacks of planters, and to do that manually on a single kiln and on a single turntable is gonna take so many hours. We might as well just prepare an automatic setup and have that run in the background once we're ready to go, and that's gonna save us so many hours in the long run. I'm still not sure about how to go about building this. I just know that I'm gonna build the actual automatic kiln deep underground, because it's gonna require quite a few hibachis, to be exact 27, and we are also going to need a new crucible. And this entire thing is gonna be the first real automated machine that we build on this world. And I've tried building it in creative first to see how it was actually gonna work. And it's not too complex, but it's really easy to mess up. So we're gonna have to be really careful when we go to actually build it, but there shouldn't be anything that could actually like explode or something like that, because there are some items that can just break down in this mod. I also don't know how low I wanna go, because I don't want to build another building like on top of a boulder like the blacksmith. I'd rather have the building just stay here on the ground flat. And to do that, we just need to place the hibachis really low, like underground. So I think I'm gonna go like 10 blocks down. Yeah, that feels reasonable. And alright, this should be deep enough. I just hope we have enough space on the left and right side to actually go and build the entire thing, because it is quite long. So I'm just gonna try expanding the area a little bit and mine out the entire area where the machine is gonna sit. Okay, I've now cleared out the entire area where we're gonna build the actual tube kiln, but before that I realized that we're actually missing 3 blocks, which are basically the observer, a block dispenser, and the body block, which they're actually fundamental to make the entire thing work. And to get them, we actually just need to trade with the librarian until we're able to get him to level 2. And to do that, I fear we are gonna need to farm some squids. Yeah, he was the one who wanted ink sacks, so that's gonna take a while. I think we're able to farm squids quite safely through our fence, so I'm just gonna do that until we have enough ink sacks to actually trade with the guy. And actually, while we wait for nighttime to come, I'm also gonna start preparing all the stuff that we're gonna need for the kiln itself. And that's gonna be quite a bit of redstone, so we have to actually start preparing this stuff. And for the repeaters, we just need bricks like this and the clocks in the middle with the torches. We are also going to need a piston, which has got quite the weird crafting recipe because it also requires a soul urn. We're just gonna need a redstone latch and then a soul urn with some bricks and some sidings, and we're able to actually craft the piston. And instead, for the hibachis, we needed a lot more bricks if I recall, as well as concentrated hellfire, so we're gonna have to get some of those cooking. But now it's almost nighttime, so I'm gonna go out there and start farming squids. Okay, we have the half stack that the librarian wanted, so now let's see. Oh, of course, 24 more. Why not? Okay, it's just morning and we got 26 more ink sacks. We've been quite lucky with the drop rate, I think. Hopefully he's now gonna ask for something else for the last trade. Paper, okay, we can do that. That's plenty easy. And okay, with this paper we should be able to get him to level 2, but we're still missing, okay, the ancient manuscript. I'm so glad we found that by accident, basically, in that jungle temple we once found. Because if I now had to go out there and start looking for builds again, I would have probably punched a hole in my monitor instead of doing that. But luckily we don't, and alright, now we can actually start trading for the stuff that we need, starting with the block dispenser, of which I'm almost certain we need 2. And actually, I think we're gonna need these redstone eyes, looking at the wiki, to actually craft some of these items. And to actually craft this we need an anvil. So let's actually do that. Luckily the anvil doesn't require 3 iron blocks, and of course the anvil is gonna go in the blacksmith. Okay, now we can actually craft a few of these. I think I'm gonna do like 40, or I guess 20, I can count. Okay, so for the block dispenser we're just gonna need some emeralds and mossy cobblestone, and we're actually gonna need 2 of these. We're also gonna need a detector block, for which we have the emeralds and the redstone eyes. Of these we're gonna need just 1. Okay, that's the body block. We also need 1 of these. And alright, this is enough. So we can just give him what he wants and get us our second block dispenser. As for the other blocks, we're just missing the 27 hibachis as well as the bricks to actually start building the fully automated tube kiln. So I'm gonna save you the process of preparing 27 hibachis, and I'll see you again once we're ready to actually build the thing. Right, it's been a couple of hours since the last clip, and as you can see from the chest here, I've gathered all the different blocks that we're gonna need to actually build this thing. Alright, so this automatic tube kiln is actually really simple in concept. How do I wanna go about this? I think I'm gonna mine like 3 blocks down more, just to place the hibachis. I want them to be as far down as possible, so everything is gonna come down. Okay, now I've dug out the secondary hole where we're actually gonna place the hibachis. And looking back at the structure that I made in creative, we actually didn't need 27 because we are going to keep a single row of them off by 1, like this. And on top of this is gonna sit the crucible. And the reason we don't want to actually place a hibachi under it is because the stoked fire would burn the food, because this is gonna act as an oven. Like bread, you have to cook in the kiln, so we're actually gonna use that for... we're actually gonna use it for that as well. And a stoked crucible would burn the food inside of it. And now we just need to build the actual kiln itself, which is gonna be the usual structure with 4 mortared bricks. And this time, instead of having one of the bricks sit on the edge, it's actually gonna sit on top, so it's gonna be a tube, which is why it's called the automatic tube kiln. Now we just need to mortar all of these. And now we're just missing the top row. Ooh, I left the cobblestone inside. Can I get all of it without breaking any of the bricks, please? I think so, maybe. Okay, perfect. And now we just need to remove all the cobblestone. Now, after placing the crucible again, we can actually start working on the circuit itself, which is gonna sit on top of the kiln itself, starting with a detector block, also known as an observer for modern Minecraft, which is gonna sit on that block over there. Okay, as I was saying, we just need some glass to actually place all the redstone, if I can get on the kiln itself. So, trying to follow the... You can't place redstone on glass. Oh. Okay, we need to gather some floating blocks, I guess. Okay, you know what? We're actually gonna try the piston for one of its main purposes in this mod, and that's packing blocks. Because if we go here and break a block here and place the piston like this, we should be able to throw like 2 pieces of sand and pack it into sandstone. Yeah. I wonder if we can do like a full stack at once. No. We cannot. So I think I'm just gonna sit here and pack some sand. Why did the button fall off? Okay, this is gonna be slower than I was hoping for. Now, this is true automation. Luckily, redstone clocks from vanilla still work in this version of the mod, so I was able to actually make that process a whole lot faster. And we just need to place the redstone going from here like this. Then we're gonna want 2 repeaters on max tick rate, looking into a block dispenser, and this we're gonna fill later with some stuff. Then I want to raise up the ceiling a bit because I actually want to be able to walk on the entire tube kiln, otherwise it's gonna be really annoying to get around. Then we are just going to need a block here with a redstone torch looking into a repeater, which goes all the way into a body block, which is gonna look into which is gonna look into the block dispenser. And as you saw here with the sandstone block that was being placed and removed, this block dispenser is gonna cycle through the blocks that we put inside, and at the end we're gonna place a redstone torch, which is gonna stop the loop until it is reactivated from an input. So basically the observer is gonna look at the items that come through. When it does, it's gonna send a signal, and it's gonna start the block dispenser, which is gonna cycle through 6 items and then a redstone torch. And that way it's gonna power the rest of this circuit, which is gonna be simply some more redstone going into another block dispenser that's gonna go down here, and another repeater, which is gonna instead go down here on a first tick delay. And from here we just need to place these blocks like this and mine out some more of the ceiling to let redstone pass through. And this area is gonna be the block dispenser looking into the entrance of the kiln, and the piston that we actually have, which is gonna instead be the one to push the items into the kiln itself. Okay, scared me for a second. And we are almost done. What we're missing now is the flow of water that we're gonna get from the river up here, which is why I made this entire thing so close to the river, because now we're gonna remove this, and we want the water to enter above the piston. So like here, I think. So we should be able to funnel the water into the piston We just need to cover this side with glass as well, because... And we also need, I think... And yeah, I also think we're gonna need a block down here to stop the water from going onto the hibachis, which I'm not sure what happens when that does happen, so I don't want to find out with the tube kiln, really. But this should be about it. Now we just need to actually get the water inside of here. Okay, no. Okay, that's enough. Okay, let's see if it's actually... Okay. So the water is gonna come down here when the piston opens, and it's gonna flow all the way through the tube kiln up into the crucible right at the end. Now we are missing the 6 blocks and the redstone torch that's gonna go here. I think one of them can be a simple piece of cobblestone. Okay, I've picked some fireproof blocks. We just need them to be different so that they don't stack into each other. And I think the entire thing is completed. Oh right, no, we're missing the entire powering system. Right, yeah, that was dumb, but yeah, we are still missing the bellows. Okay, and now we just need to power them. So let's go place the water wheel outside. So I was thinking of making like a small area for the water wheel to sit in, so that we can have flowing water without too much headaches. Okay, the water wheel is actually turning now. Alright. I guess we can just start with a gearbox. So now we just need to link up the bellows to the water wheel. Okay, this should be all that we need, hopefully. The redstone latch is gonna go here, this is gonna get connected to that. And here we can just place one more of these with another gearbox. And in theory, everything should be connected. Okay, now we are just missing the turntable. Okay, now it's working. But it's too fast because we actually needed to slow down the turntable, otherwise the bellows are not gonna blow. Okay, now it's actually working. And now I think we're just missing the power to the hibachis. Okay, let's hope nothing catches on fire. But we really shouldn't have this kind of problem, I think. Wait, I think we're missing... Okay, no, we are actually missing some glass all around the crucible here. And why has the entire thing stopped working? Where did the gearbox go? What? Oh, did it like catch on fire? Please don't tell me that's what happened, please. I don't want to go through this again. Okay, let's see. It might actually just catch on fire. I don't see it catching on fire, I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, it did. Alright, then I think nothing is safe here. Can we cover all burnable sides with sandstone and stop it from burning? And do the same with the others. Because I don't think the axles can burn. So if they actually can't, we might be able to actually save the entire system like this. So let's actually test this out now, because I think it's not gonna burn again. So if we put inside the block dispenser our bricks and we go over to the front side and click this button, nothing happened. Why not? Oh wait, I placed this wrong. Okay, so the block dispenser actually had to go one block over the repeaters. The body block on top of it, pointing towards it. And then here... Yeah, Okay, so the redstone shouldn't be powered when you start off. So now if we place all of these blocks again, as well as the torch, now we have the water inside of the kiln. So now if we actually press this, it didn't work. Okay, no, I think it's the problem of bricks. Like, literally only the bricks can't be prepared using this system. And that's wonderful. Okay, let's actually make something that can be cooked in this way. So, let's see how this goes now. Yeah. Okay, so it's not gonna work perfectly right now because we are mixing bread and pottery, which are gonna take all different kind of times to cook. You can see the bread is gonna take very little, and the pottery should take about a minute or so. So let's just check when the entire thing finishes and the water is able to push everything into the crucible. Okay, the pottery is done, and now the water is pushing everything into the crucible. Almost everything. Not sure why this didn't go in, but yeah, that's roughly the way this entire thing is gonna work. I'm still not sure why everything didn't go in, but alright, we are actually done with the first main thing for this episode, which was this monster, which luckily didn't take us too long to actually finish, but it was quite... It's surely the most complex machine we've built yet, and it's actually great. Oh, let's see if everything went into the crucible properly. Okay, yeah, it did. So I'm not sure why those items stopped right at the end. They shouldn't have. But as long as we fill it with like more than 7 items and we always keep the same stuff, we shouldn't have any problems. Now, what I actually want to do is build the rest of the actual pottery building, which is gonna sit here. And here is where I'm gonna place these 4... actually 5, counting the one we're gonna move from the windmill to here. And we're gonna have a few of these turntables just so we're able to actually produce all the pottery we need in batches instead of one at a time, because that takes way too long. And after that, we'll actually be done with this entire half of this episode, and we're gonna be able to move on the second one, which is arguably more complex and difficult to build because it's gonna be the railway, which is gonna go from our base, I'm thinking from like here, all the way back to our spawn. So we're actually gonna also craft a very important item, which is the compass, because we're gonna have to see where exactly the spawn chunks are. But for now, let's focus on actually building the pottery house. Okay, I've prepared the outline for the building that I wanna make for the pottery part of the town at this point. Yeah, we can consider it a town at this point because we have so many buildings already. And while I was preparing the building blocks, I had an idea, which is basically this thing, which is basically using a saw and a block dispenser to automatically cut wood, and it works surprisingly well. Like, I'm not sure if leaving it on 1 tick or 4 is faster, because basically on 1 tick it places the block twice before actually cutting it, while on 4s it places it and then cuts it and then places another one. I didn't stay there to count which is faster. I feel like this is slightly faster, like milliseconds or close to that. But yeah, basically I've cut up all of our wood because this thing is extremely quick. It can go through a couple of stacks of wood in like less than a minute, which is insane. And all of these components I stole from the automatic kiln here because I didn't have any at hand and I didn't want to waste resources on gathering some for a concept that I didn't know was gonna work. Also, it seems it's actually done. And yeah, I think this is something we're gonna place in a future lumberjack dedicated building once we have the materials for it. But alright, so shenanigans aside, I think it's time to actually start building the house, for which I think I'm gonna go with a slightly different color palette for the roof. Ooh. This, I think, is simply not gonna be part of the house, it's just gonna be a sort of slanted roof that goes into the house, but I'm gonna think about it later. Although, I'm not sure if I like how wide this is. I mean, we have to fit a lot of stuff in here, so I guess it works. Oh. Oh, screw you. Oh, also, I forgot to mention that you probably remember that here were a lot of stumps, especially burnt ones. And what I did while I was off camera is I took one of the block dispenser that we have underneath. I'm not gonna do it now because I don't want to go down and have to come back up again. And basically using the block dispenser on a stump, it allowed me to remove the stump. And basically that's just a very easy way to not have to use resources to actually do that, so that's great for us. Of course I'm missing one, why wouldn't I? And here, this side, I also want to raise again. Not sure how tall I want to make it. Okay, yeah, I think this works. So now we can just come here and fill in the walls. Not sure how I'm gonna do the windows for now, but I think we can worry about that later. And now I want to start building the actual roof itself, which is gonna be a really simple design. While the inside is gonna be... Oh, right, I guess this should be birch as well. Not like this. Oh, actually, I wanted the trim to be all spruce. I think that's gonna look much better. And the top side is gonna be spruce as well, but I want to add some slabs. Okay, so that's the first roof for this building, and now I want to make the second one, which is gonna sit on top of here, and I think I'm gonna make it in the other direction. Okay, that's the outline done. Now we can just go in and fill the middle again. Okay, and that's the middle part filled in as well. Let's see how this looks now. There I'm gonna have to raise the frame a bit just to connect into the roof nicely. And overall I think we're lacking in detail, of course, but I think the shape is holding up pretty well, aside from that random stair over there. Although I don't think I like the fact that it's 5 blocks wide instead of just being 3. How much space do we have inside? Because we have to fit like 5 turntables. Let's assume the planks are the turntables. If it was 3 blocks wide, we would have like to do something like this. That works well enough because we have the upper floor to treat as like we can either do storage or build some kind of apartment. And down here we can just, or we could also place them by the door, like have the door here and just have once you get inside. We could also do like 6. Yeah, we're going 3 wide. I guess this is what you get for not planning a build in advance, but oh well, it's still part of the process. Hey, I'm building here. Okay, let's now see how this looks. Yeah, it's so much better. And I also think the upper roof should look in the same direction. I think it both makes more sense design-wise, and it actually works now that it can actually work now that the entire building is 3 blocks wide instead of 5. So let's actually go fix that as well. Now for the middle. And actually, let's add like a bit of a detail up here. And let's see. Yeah, that's so much better. Okay, yeah. I wasn't actually quite liking the look of the 5 wide building, but now that it's 3 wide, it actually looks perfect, in my opinion. And now it's time for the details and the last few touches. I actually think that here in the middle we can go for a spiral stair. Yeah. Not sure how much space this leaves us though, because here I can place any slab. As for the windows, we can simply go with a simple set of trapdoors. Ooh, could we go down? Huh? We could actually go down to the lower floor from the stairs over there. I don't know, because I do like the idea of having the stair being outside. Yeah, no, we're going outside. And then I also want to place a glowstone. Like... Okay, it's not... I guess here matches the column, so... Okay. And yeah, I think we're gonna have to actually raise the floor here because it doesn't make sense for the wall to be so low. Okay, let's actually raise the flooring here a little bit. I also want to raise this wall. I'm not sure how to call it. Okay, now this area is also walkable. And I have to remove this stair here. And for the outside, I guess we can also place some fences here. And okay, I think for the outer area we can consider it finished. Now I just want to add the actual stair going down, which I guess already matches this part here, but I don't know how to go about this. Alright, we're going with this for now. I'm not sure I actually like it. I just need to stop actually working on this because I'm spending so much time just trying to figure out this specific part of the house, and the rest is actually finished, so we can actually go do something else. Yeah, I think we can have like 6 turntables all in close proximity. So now we just need to bring this all down to the main system. But okay, yeah, I think this works. So if we bring up the power from down here, we are actually able to connect all of these, all of the gearboxes from just this one and just connect them all in a row. So that solves the problem of how to bring power to every separate turntable. Okay, I've got all the different axles and gearboxes, so we can actually start connecting all of this together. Okay, now we're just gonna need some clay to mortar the cobblestone, otherwise it's not gonna float. And I'm just gonna mortar everything else just to have it look the same. But alright, that's the 6 turntable system in place. Now we're gonna be able to craft up to 6 pottery items at once. Okay, and with that, the pottery building is officially complete. At least except for the basement. But for the build itself, I can say it's done. So, it's time to move on to the next step of this episode, which is gonna be actually going back to the world spawn. And for that, we are going to need to craft a compass. I think the compass still only uses, yeah, iron and redstone. I was worried it could need like a soul urn, since it's, you know, a compass. But thinking about it, it wouldn't make much sense, given that you would need this if you wanted to go back to your spawn. So it makes sense that it's actually only in the Iron Age and not all the way into the Age of Trade. But yeah, now we just need to actually think where to place the railway and make our way all the way back to the spawn chunks, in which we might actually just find the base we made in the very first episode, which is kind of exciting. So let's get ready for our exploration session, although it's gonna be lands that we've already seen, although that doesn't make it any less dangerous than it actually is. Okay, we're ready to go. And what I want to do in this first trip is not actually build anything. I just want to reach the spawn area, leaving a trail of torches where I would place the railway. We could place like the railway on this area and go like with a floating bridge over this small valley. So, and hopefully we're gonna stay in a straight line. I don't want to make weird curves. I want to go from point A to point B, and then once the compass points all the way to the right, we're simply gonna go. We just need to clean up a bit. And I'm currently debating if I should make the railway completely closed off from the outside. That way it can also be used at night, because otherwise we at least would risk being ganked on by some mobs. We're gonna see if we're actually going to need to cover the entire thing up. We might not, simply. Okay, here. This should be, I guess we're one block off. Yeah. Here the compass points straight to spawn. So we are going to proceed in this direction from here. I think it was in that area over there. Yeah, I think that's the first tree that I punched. Oh, that's so nostalgic. I think it is. I should have brought a boat. I forgot there was this massive lake at spawn. But yeah, I think this is the spawn chunks. If I recall, that's exactly where we spawned first. If you remember, we went over in this direction. We made our way up to this mountain and down to that sort of extreme hills plains over there. Oh man, we've never been that far away from this area, but that's our first base. We've never been that far away from this area because we just walked, what was it, like a few hundred blocks? Not even. Oh man. We didn't leave anything behind. Yeah, no, we got everything with us the first time. Man. It's been... what, like... 80 hours? No, we are 3 days and 20 hours. That's like... almost 100 hours since we've been away from this place, because we only spent like an hour or two here. And the reason we're gonna be back here soon is for this beauty. We're gonna have such a great time with the farms here. We're gonna be able to build a witch farm, we're gonna be able to build a spider farm. In the massive lake in the middle, we're gonna be able to build a squid farm, or in one of these smaller ponds. I'm not sure which kind of lake thing is better to actually build on. We're gonna build a temporary... or no, it's not gonna be temporary. We're gonna build a secondary base here. Basically a house just to store stuff and to be near our farms when we actually need to farm stuff. But otherwise, these chunks are gonna be loaded forever. And we're gonna be able to farm everything we need in here. And for now, let's actually go back home and prepare all the materials we're gonna need to build this railway, because it's gonna be massive. I don't think we have enough iron to actually do it. We're gonna have to see, because that's gonna be an enormous amount of rails. Well, if it's not enough, we're just gonna have to go on a mining trip. Like the good old days, as we've been reminiscing just about now. Okay, I've prepared all the items that we're gonna need to actually build this railway. As you can see, we've got a few stacks of rails as well as some blocks to actually place them on. And these slabs are just gonna be used to cross rivers and holes that we're gonna find in the way. And basically, I'm just gonna start building from where I would like to place the future station, which I think is gonna be here. So I think we can start from here. I guess we don't really need the compass anymore since we've traced the way until there. And now we just need to actually go and build the thing. And I also need to look into every how many blocks I need to place a powered rail, because I don't really know that. I guess we can start by having one right at the start, and then I have to actually look it up. Okay, the first result was 38 blocks, so that's like this is 38 already, and since it's actually quite a few blocks, I think I'm gonna go on the 38th block. And I guess we can just like go down a bit and follow the geography, or the topography, I guess. Yeah, but I also think we're gonna need to have one on, I guess not on top of the actual rise, just like, as I said, not on top of the actual rise, just like a bit before. I guess our railway system doesn't like torches nearby. Luckily we didn't lose all of the bridge. Isn't this like too far out of reach? Oh well. Again, at least we didn't lose the entire thing. We're gonna have to be more careful with torches. Here I think we can actually build a small tunnel that goes through this part, because I think that's gonna look cool, and also it makes sense, you know, for a railway to actually have tunnels and stuff. And okay, we've basically got here. At some point we're gonna have to actually plan out the base position. Mainly I want a good spot between the jungle and the swamp, because those are like the only two mandatory biomes that we're gonna have to keep track of. Everything else is fair game. It's surely gonna be on the edge of the river, or of the lake, but other than that I don't really know where we're actually gonna place it. And so much for making too many rails, because alright, we do still have a stack of powered ones, but for the normal ones we were actually almost done. And now, yeah, I guess we have to make the other way around for the raised areas too. And now we just have to go all the way back and making sure that even coming back from this place we have enough powered rails to actually make it up the rises. I think the railway is actually now usable in both directions. Not that we can really test it, since we don't have a minecart and don't have enough iron to make it, so we're gonna have to try... oh wait. So we're gonna have to try and smelt some of these rails, as well as go look for some more iron, so that we can actually test this out, but alright, for now the great railway system for our world has been made. We still need to make it look actually pretty, like making the bridges look more like actual bridges with arches and stuff. And we also need to make it safe, so that's gonna be a big project to actually make, because that's gonna require a lot of blocks. But thanks to this, we're actually gonna be able to go to and from the spawn chunks and make a lot of farms over there. We're gonna make basically one for every kind of item that the villagers can require. And we're also gonna be able to bring all of our planters over there, thanks to our 6 turntable setup that we built today. I'm gonna spend a few hours between this episode and the next one, just preparing all the items that we're gonna have to bring over there. I'm gonna set up a temporary base and bring a lot of blocks and a lot of... so that we don't have to keep going between our bases too much, because that's gonna get annoying really quick. The reason I wanted to build a railway like this is because I don't actually want to move my base over there. I really like this area we're in, and I actually want to keep living here. Maybe in the future we're gonna build an actual base over there, but for now I'm fine staying here and just keeping the industrial area over there in the spawn chunks. And that's why I wanted to build an entire railway system to make traversing these few hundred blocks as easy as possible. I know we could have gone through the nether to make it actually less blocks to go through, but I don't really like the idea of having to nether travel every time I want to go to our base. That doesn't feel natural. So I wanted to actually build something in the overworld to reach it, and I think that this makes more sense. We could also make some stops along the way, like have some other buildings along the railway and make stops for the carts over there. And I think that's gonna be a lot of fun to actually build. And I think that's gonna make our world a lot more interesting. But alright, I think for this episode is gonna be all. I thank you all for watching. If you want to see more content like this, leave a like, a comment and subscribe because that really helps out the channel to grow. And until next time, see ya.